in 1945, 12 watch companies have provided watches for a British military. These watches are known as the Dirty Dozen, and they're very collectible, very popular. Now, what do you do if you want a watch that looks like that but isn't 85 years old? Well, there are a few different options, including the watch we're going to review today. It comes from an American microbrand company called Praesidus, and the name of this model is Type A11. Now, as always, let's talk about the case and the dimensions of this watch. It features an all stainless steel case, 38 millimeters in case diameter, about 11.8 millimeters in case height. It has a 45 millimeter lug-to-lug distance and a 20 millimeter lug width. The finishes on the case are executed pretty well. It has a pretty much all satin finish, except for the high polish finish on the bezel, as well as these chamfered edges on the lugs. I think the execution of the finish is really good. It's something that you would expect from a watch in this price category. It's almost $1,000, $875 on the strap and about $925 on the bracelet. For this type of money, you are expecting sort of next level finish. You're also expecting things like a sapphire crystal. Of course, this watch does feature a sapphire crystal, unlike its vintage counterparts. It's a double domed sapphire with AR coating, and I think it belongs on a watch like this. You do want that pronounced dome because it definitely complements that vintage aesthetic that the watch is going for. There's also a screw down crown at the 3 o'clock position. This crown is unsigned, sort of a callback to the vintage watches, and because the crown is screw down, that helps with water resistance. This watch comes with 100 meters of water resistance, unlike the vintage watches that only came with about 30 to 50. Very difficult to say exactly how much water resistance, but not much. Another thing that helps with water resistance is the screw down case back. This one here features something that's very interesting. It has the name A11 Dirty Dozen. It also features the WWII. These 3 W's are very important for the historical accuracy. All of the Dirty Dozen watches featured 3 W's on the case back. That stood for watch, wrist, waterproof. That's just how Army identified these watches, and these new ones also feature those 3 W's. This model is available with 3 different dials. There's a couple of faux patina dials, and there's one called Factory Fresh if you are not a fan of the faux patina, as I know some people aren't. And to be honest, I myself am not a big fan of faux patina on watches, but I think this one here is executed really well. The one we have for review is called the Tropical. That refers to a tropical dial. As you know, some of these vintage dials, as they age, they're sort of changing the color, and they're changing the color to different shades of sort of chocolate brown. This one here is actually executed in a very interesting manner. According to their website, they spent about 2 years working with their manufacturer to create this process of aging the lume and aging the dial in a more natural way, using some chemicals as well as some UV light. And I gotta tell you, it does feel like that. It feels slightly different than just painted on brown lume. It feels like this is aged. It's kind of hard to explain and show over the video, but it does feel a little special in that way. So actually, I personally don't mind this faux patina look on this watch at all. As far as other elements on the dial, of course, there's the sub dial at the 6 o'clock position. That's the ticking seconds hand. There's also the Arabic numerals for hour marks. Those are executed in that sort of vintage 1940s font, and that looks very good. There's the rail track all around the dial. There's also batons as well as circles for the lume. And this watch does have some pretty good lume. Here's a lume shot for your reference. As you can see, even the lume on the hands is executed with this sort of faux patina, which I think all looks pretty good. This model is available with a few different bracelet and strap options. You can go for the classic leather strap look. You can go for the green pearl-on. That's actually my favorite way to wear this watch. But you could also go for something called the bonk lip bracelet. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of how this watch looks on this bracelet. I'm just not a big fan of this bracelet in general, but I do have to admit it is a very comfortable bracelet, and it instantly makes this watch look like a watch from 1940s. Sometimes a strap or a bracelet can completely change the character of the watch, and it's the fact with this bracelet here. It's unlike any other bracelet that I ever tried. First of all, it does come with quick release pins, which makes it easy to swap between different straps. I appreciate that. And it has a little bit of a clasp here with a couple of pushers. You push on both of these pushers and you sort of release the bracelet. And you never need to really adjust this bracelet. It is sort of self-adjusting depending on your wrist size. You just choose where it fits best on your wrist, and then you sort of close it in the same way by pushing on these couple of pushers. Because of the nature of this bracelet, it's supposed to represent that vintage look and vintage feel. It feels very flimsy. It has a lot of rattle, not on the wrist because you can wear it quite tightly, but if you just hold it in your hands, it doesn't feel very high quality. But I guess that sort of is the point of a bracelet like this, because it's supposed to represent that vintage look and feel. But as I alluded to earlier, my favorite way to enjoy this watch was with this green Perlon strap. I think this strap and this watch just belong together. It again instantly transforms the look and the feel of the watch. It makes it feel and look more military-like. What I also like about this strap is the fact that it kind of stretches out. So again, you can wear it quite tightly on your wrist and it's still comfortable because this strap does stretch. It also doesn't have any pin buckle holes. To secure the strap on your wrist, you simply put the pin through the weave of the strap. At first, it felt kind of weird. It felt as if I'm gonna rip or break the strap, but after wearing this watch for a couple of weeks, no, it's fine. It just is a very interesting way to have this watch. But that also means that you can get the perfect fit, because sometimes with straps, you're kind of in between holes. Here, there are no holes, so you can get the perfect fit. Here's the watch on my 7.25-inch wrist. On the bracelet, it is a very comfortable watch, but it just looks kind of weird. I don't know, it's not really my style, but other than the looks of it on the bracelet, I gotta say it is very comfortable. If you're worried about the size, 38mm does sound like it's a bit on the smaller side, but I'm happy to say that it looks just right with this type of a watch. Since it's kind of vintage inspired, you don't want this watch to look too big on your wrist. I prefer the look and the way this watch wears on this green Perlon strap. I think it is excellent. First of all, it's very comfortable because the strap stretches so you can have that perfect fit. It does add a bit to the thickness of the watch because there is that little bit of strap at the back. It's not too bad since the watch itself is not overly thick, but do keep that in mind. If you want the optimal wearing experience and the thinnest profile possible, probably the leather strap is a way to go. This watch is powered by Landeron L24 caliber movement, which is an automatic Swiss-made movement. It's actually a clone of ETA 2824 with a few adjustments. It still beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has 25 joules and 40 hours of power reserve. I think the ETA has 38 hours, so here the power reserve has been extended slightly. I think it's an interesting choice of a movement. I actually haven't encountered this specific version of the ETA movement before. Usually you'd find something like a Celita or a La Joux Parade, but I never experienced this Landeron version. It works as intended. It keeps accurate time, but I do have a couple of issues with this movement. Number one, the fact that it features a date complication. However, there is no date cutout on this watch, so you do get that ghost position. I wish it didn't. The second thought that I had is not really a negative about this movement specifically. It's more of my general observation. After sort of spending some time with this watch, I think the character of this watch and what this watch represents sort of historically, or what it's trying to represent historically, it deserves a manual wind movement. First of all, it would make the watch thinner. Although it's not a thick watch to begin with, it's still under 12mm, but I think with a manual wind movement, it would sort of feel more historically accurate, and the plus side would also be that the watch will be thinner. I think overall it's a pretty well done watch. I think there is a lot right with it. As far as the price point, almost $900 seems a little bit on the higher end. If this watch was around maybe $600, $650, I think a lot more people would just go ahead and buy one because that would be a deal. At almost $900, there's quite a bit of competition, so you really have to love this watch specifically. Maybe you love the tropic dial, maybe you love the way the faux patina looks on this watch, maybe you like the balance of the dial, maybe you like the size. You have to really like something specifically about this one over all the other stuff available on the market. And if you do like something about this watch, and if you do end up buying it, I don't think you'll be disappointed. The quality is there, it feels pretty good on the wrist. I think you'll have a good time. I appreciate you watching this video all the way until the end. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this in the future, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this watch. I always enjoy reading your comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.